The celestial archives hung in the void between stars, a monument to 17 civilizations' combined intellect. Within its crystalline halls, the galaxy's greatest minds gathered once per cycle to tackle the Architect's Challenge, a logic puzzle so complex that solving it granted access to technologies beyond current understanding. Anita pressed her palm against the viewing portal, watching ships from a dozen species dock at the station. The young human engineer had arrived on a supply freighter, hoping to observe the competition. She hadn't expected to be invited inside. "Your presence disturbs the sanctity of this event," clicked Ambassador Zekthar, his mandibles scraping together in the Vraxian expression of displeasure. "Humans lack the cognitive frameworks necessary for architect-level reasoning." Anita offered an apologetic smile. "I'm just here to watch, Ambassador. My friend Atreyu is competing." The Vraxian's compound eyes refracted her image 100 times over. "The human male registered 3 planetary rotations ago. He will fail, as all humans fail when faced with proper logic." Through the chamber's transparent walls, Anita watched the competitors take their positions. Atreyu caught her eye and grinned, his dark hair falling across his forehead as he waved. Surrounding him were beings of pure mathematical genius, the 4-brained collective of Menos, the time-dilated consciousness of Elder Tom, crystalline entities that processed information in quantum states. The architect's puzzle materialized in the center of the chamber, a holographic construct of impossible geometry. Lines of alien script surrounded it, defining parameters in languages that predated starflight. The puzzle had been designed 3,000 years ago by the architects themselves, a species so advanced they transcended physical form. "The rules are absolute," announced the Overseer, a being of pure energy contained within magnetic fields. "One solution exists. The first to present it claims victory." The competitors immediately fell into deep concentration. Anita watched mathematical formulae bloom in the air around the collective of Menos. Elder Tom's temporal field bent, allowing it to examine billions of possibilities simultaneously. Crystalline computations flickered through living geometries. Atreyu simply stared at the puzzle, his head tilted slightly to one side. 20 minutes passed. The collective of Menos presented their conclusion, a elegant proof that spiraled through 12 dimensions. The puzzle rejected it with a pulse of red light. 40 minutes. Elder Tom's solution collapsed under the weight of temporal paradoxes. An hour elapsed. The crystalline entities admitted defeat, their perfect calculations unable to satisfy all parameters simultaneously. Atreyu raised his hand. "The human wishes to speak." Zekthar clicked with amusement. "Perhaps to concede?" "Actually," Atreyu said, standing, "I found the solution." "Well, solutions, plural." The chamber fell silent. "Impossible," the Overseer pulsed. "The architect's puzzle possesses one solution. This is fundamental to its construction." Atreyu scratched his head, looking genuinely embarrassed. "Right, about that. I found 12 solutions that work. I'm really sorry if I missed some obvious ones. I only had an hour, and I got a bit tunnel-visioned on these specific approaches." The Overseer flickered with what might have been confusion. "Display your solutions." Atreyu gestured, and his neural interface projected the first solution. It satisfied every parameter, threading through the puzzle's constraints with surprising elegance. The puzzle glowed green in confirmation. The second solution approached from an entirely different angle, treating the puzzle's dimensional components as fluid rather than fixed. Green light again. By the fourth solution, competitors were leaning forward, their various sensory organs focused intently on the human. By the 7th solution, Ambassador Zekthar's mandibles had stopped moving entirely. The 12th solution made Elder Tom's temporal field collapse in what the humans later learned was the time-dilated equivalent of shocked laughter. "How?" the collective of Menos demanded, their 4 brains speaking in perfect unison. "We calculated 17 billion permutations. Only one satisfied all parameters." Atreyu looked uncomfortable with the attention. "Well, you were solving for the parameters as written." "I noticed the parameters themselves had flexibility built in, probably unintentionally. The architects wrote them in Proto-Chalasian, which has 17 different grammatical cases for mathematical certainty. Most of you translated them as absolute imperatives, but several could be read as strong suggestions with bounded variants. The language barrier. breathed a silicon-based philosopher, its vocal synthesizer crackling. We never considered the language itself might contain ambiguity. Also, Atreyu continued, warming to his subject, humans are really good at pattern recognition in noisy data. We evolved on a planet where nothing made complete logical sense. Weather patterns, predator behavior, social dynamics. We got really good at finding solutions in ambiguous systems. He paused. Plus, I kind of assumed there might be errors in a 3,000-year-old puzzle. Things degrade, right? So I looked for solutions that would work even with slight parameter drift. Anita found herself grinning despite the bewildered silence filling the chamber. You assumed the architects made mistakes? Sekthar said slowly. Well, not mistakes exactly, just... It's 3,000 years old. Language evolves, understanding shifts. I figured the original solution might not be the only solution anymore. Atreyu looked around at the stunned faces. Did I break some kind of protocol? I'm really sorry if... You apologize, interrupted the overseer, for finding 12 solutions to a puzzle designed to have one. 12 that I found, Atreyu corrected. I'm sure there are more. Given another few hours, I could probably map the entire solution space. Though honestly, someone smarter than me could probably find the underlying pattern that generates all valid solutions programmatically. The chamber erupted, not in anger but in excited chaos as competitors rushed to verify the solutions, to understand the methodology, to grasp how a species barely 3 centuries into space travel had shattered assumptions held for millennia. Ambassador Sekthar approached Anita, his mandibles clicking in a new pattern she didn't recognize. Later, she learned it was the Vraxian expression of profound respect. Your species, he said quietly, does not solve puzzles the way we do. No, Anita agreed, watching Atreyu try to explain his reasoning to a crowd of galaxy's greatest minds. We're really good at breaking them instead. The architect's challenge was quietly retired the following cycle. Not because humans had solved it, but because they'd revealed a truth the galaxy had forgotten. The difference between finding the answer and questioning the question itself. Atreyu would later describe it as just getting lucky with linguistic ambiguity. The rest of the galaxy called it something else. The moment they realized human logic didn't follow rules, it rewrote them, and that, as it turned out, was the most terrifying and magnificent discovery of all.